What is up, everyone? This is Colby, and it's time for a guide on Diana. And she is right now the newest mid lane jungle AP assassin that Riot has released. And she's just great at taking out high priority targets. She's a really big snowball champion, and she can get fed very easily with just one slight mistake or successful gank. Her kill potential actually makes her extremely fun to play, just very satisfying to use against your opponents. She's got some ridiculous damage output, and her catching potential can make her roaming and her dueling just very top notch across the board, across all champions that are in the league currently. Now, she won't do really well in the top lane versus bruisers, but she can still hold her own nonetheless if she is forced into that role. Now, I'll be focusing on what she's meant to do, which is play as a mid lane carry, and she can also do jungle, so I'll mention that as well. But if you are forced into the jungle, it's not like she's gonna perform bad. It's just that she's not as good as some of the other jungle picks that you can choose from. So let's go ahead and talk about everything that's gonna make her stand out from the crowd, and I'll show you guys how to play her in the meantime. So first off, let's just mention her runes and her masteries. Whenever I play her, I like to focus on her early game because since she is a snowball champion, you're going to want to get that early game built up as quick as possible. So with your runes and your masteries, focus on defense, early mana regen, and ability power. Now, with my runes, I actually go for on Quintessence 15 ability power flat. I'll do the magic pin for my marks. And then on yellows, I'll just do flat mana regen per 5, and that'll get you through those early levels where you don't have as much mana regen. And then I'll do flat magic resist to help you out against those other mid laners. And then on the masteries side, I'll do my ability power with defense page, which is 21 and then 9. And that way I can go ahead and get a little bit of extra magic resist, health per level, and then that 30 extra HP at the beginning, which is going to help you out as well. Now, it does kind of suck not being able to get the utility tree where you get that extra mana regen, but overall, she's not going to have a huge issue with mana once you get past those early levels, grab your Dorans, and especially once you grab blue buffs. And of course, for summoners, go ahead and grab yourself a flash and an ignite. I don't recommend any other abilities. This is pretty standard on any AP carry. Obviously, if you're going to be forced into the jungle role, substitute that ignite for a smite instead. So let's take a quick look at her abilities and what they do and how to actually use those properly in different situations. So first off, I want to talk about her passive. It's actually a very powerful passive. She automatically gets 20% attack speed for the entire game. And then on top of that, every third attack, she does an extra bonus AoE damage with a base damage and a 0.6 scaling on your ability power. So that's a really large amount. Now, it kind of sucks that it doesn't actually tell you when that Moon Silver Blade passive is up. But if you count your auto attacks and just know that every third attack I'm going to have this extra damage, it'll make it a lot easier for you to actually do last hitting in the lane, because you're not going to do extra damage that you weren't expecting, or possibly you can do extra damage that you were expecting, so you can last hit multiple minions with that. And then also you'll know, okay, I'm going to attack the creeps 2 times, and then I can walk up and attack the enemy for that extra burst damage and have a lot of extra trade potential as success that you wouldn't normally have by just doing a normal auto attack. On her Q, you have Crescent Strike. This is somewhat her bread and butter damage ability. It's got super high scaling, currently at 0.8. And I recommend that you do not use this ability as Smart Cast. I use all of her other abilities as Smart Cast, but since this spell is somewhat unique, it has a weird curve to it, it's a lot easier, in my opinion, to land if you can actually see the trajectory that it's going to travel, so you'll know how to hit it. Now, it's always going to curve to the right based on where she's facing, and it's actually really great for checking out bushes and finding out if people are on the other side of walls, because when you do hit your enemies with it, it's going to give you vision of them for an amount of time. So use that to actually set up some kills or find out if there are enemies in areas before you walk into them. Now, once you get your blasting wand later on, you're actually going to be able to clear out back wave minions with 1 Q. And so that's going to be very helpful for you to push your lane and to just farm in general. So other than that, it's just amazing poke in the lane, and it can help you get people low enough for finishing them off later on. Other than that, it can be a little bit difficult to land in the heat of a situation, so you really need to just kind of take your time when you're firing it out, and you need to think to yourself, okay, should I try and aim the large circle at them, or should I try and hit them with the curvature of it? Sometimes it's easier to land by actually shooting the curve at them, and sometimes it's easier to land by shooting the little circle at them. So you're gonna need to probably get a little bit of practice in on that skill shot. Since it is so unique, it's just something that no other champion has. So in some cases, it's gonna be super hard to miss, and other cases, it's gonna be very easy to miss. It's kind of hard to explain, but once you play her, you'll know what I'm talking about. Pale Cascade is her W ability. It's kind of like the turtle shells from Mario Kart. It gives out damage when someone runs into them, and when you activate it, you get a shield. Once all of the orbs are broken, you get another shield, similar to a Lux shield. Now, it's great for trading in the lane. So one cool trick you can do is you can actually walk up to auto attack them. By the way, make sure you have your passive ready to go as well. Activate your shield, auto attack them. They're gonna try and trade with you, but your shield's gonna block a lot of this damage. You're gonna blow up your entire shield on them. You're gonna get that extra shield, then you can walk away and you'll win the trade. Another thing is, once you get your blasting wand, you can walk right up to the minion waves, hit your Pale Cascade, shoot the back wave minions with the Crescent Strike, and boom, that's gonna clear the wave for you. No problem. Mostly you'll just be using Pale Cascade when you are about to jump in so that you can start taking away that orb damage right away. You can also use it to avoid a little bit of damage if you're about to get ulted by Karthus or something such as that. Diana's E ability is Moonfall. It's a displacement ability similar to Orianna's ultimate. It doesn't do any damage, but it will pull them in on top of you and then slow them down afterwards. You can use it in order to pull in enemies after you've jumped to them, or just walk up to them, use that, and it'll help keep them sticky to you so that you can take them out. You can also use it to flip them to the other side of you and then dash to them so you can get on that side and clean them up a lot easier. For the most part though, it is a long cooldown, so just use it wisely and make sure that you don't use it right before you dash or you're just gonna waste it. Another cool trick that you can do with Moonfall is you can interrupt champions such as Malzahar and Katarina, pull them out of their ultimates and force them to lose a lot of damage that way. Finally, you have Lunar Rush. And this is her ultimate. It's a super low cooldown ultimate that actually gets completely reset if you use it on the target of a Lunar Rush, or sorry, of a Crescent Strike. Now, once learned, you can almost 100% to zero a lot of mid laners early on with this ability. So a good combo, if you're actually chasing someone down that you can't just insta-give with this, is to use your Crescent Strike and then use your Lunar Rush to go to them. Don't use your Lunar Rush again, even though it's reset. Wait for your Q cooldown, which is only about 5 or so seconds, and then go ahead, use your Q again, and then double dash to them at that point, and that'll just completely wreck their HP pools. Another thing you can do is wait just a very slight moment after casting your Crescent Strike and then dash to them, and it will actually go ahead and reset it. You don't have to wait the entire time for that Q, so you can do a very, very quick combo and have that actual Lunar Rush reset. But you have to be careful with that, because if you actually end up missing your Q and then you dash to them, then you're going to have that that cooldown on your R, which, by the way, at level 16 is still fairly short. It's only 10 seconds, but it's still something that's gonna cause your DPS to decrease drastically if you do miss that Crescent Strike. Okay, with her abilities and everything else out of the way, let's actually take a look at how to play Diana and get her going. So once again, I'll remind you guys, she is a big snowball champion, so early game is very critical on her. So early on, you want to go ahead and grab your boots and 3 health potions and head to the lane. The main thing you want to note is that early on, she does have a little bit of mana issues if you're trying to constantly harass people down. So you want to try and conserve mana at first, because your poking isn't going to be as efficient, at least until you get your 2nd or 3rd level of Crescent Strike. The best way to trade is going to be by using your passive and then just walking up, auto-attacking, using your shield, and then your Crescent Strike right on top of them, so it's a lot harder to miss. Also, use your Q to hit your opponent as they are last hitting, or if they're like stuck in between that little small area of the turret. That way you can just make sure it'll always land. Otherwise, it's probably not going to be worth it until around level 5. That way you can kind of poke them down and get ready for your Lunar Rush at 6, and then you can probably burst them down from full if you have enough mana. So the main thing you want to try and do though is farm up to get your Dorans and your Haunting Guys as fast as possible. That way you can put some pressure on your lane, push the wave, and then begin roaming as soon as possible. So the reason I actually like to build Haunting Guys on her is because it gives you that extra HP, a little bit of ability power, and then the main thing is you get that spell pin that you need without forcing yourself to have to buy spell pin boots. You can actually go for Merc Treads, and as a melee, you really want that because when they have a lot of CC, that's going to help shut you down a lot. And Haunting Guys is going to help you get fed early on in the game, which is, again, what you want as a Snowball champion. So you should definitely go for that Haunting Guys, at least in my opinion. So what you want to do is try and get some kills off on your mid lane. If you can't, look in the top and the bottom. Try and find opportunities to roam around the map, ward up the enemy buffs if possible, and just find chances to actually gank people and take them out and get yourself fed. Worst case scenario, just farm up as much as possible and try and at least shove out your mid lane so that they miss creep experience and last hitting potential. Now mid game is where Diana really shines. So this is where you're going to begin building up your death cap, your Merc Treads are going to be completed, and you'll just start raping the bottom lane, and you'll start wrecking your mid lane and doing a lot of damage as long as you can land those crescent strikes. So again, just find opportunities to really punish people around the map. If they're pushing bottom lane or if mid lane is being aggressive, you can take them out. And that's really all it's going to be about, is trying to build up to that Lich Bane as fast as possible so that you can just completely take kids down. Alright, so once you start getting out of that mid-game phase, you're not going to be necessarily as strong on Diana, especially if you didn't get super fed early on. Once teams start getting GAs and they have a lot of CC and AoE, Diana will have a little bit more trouble. This is where you need to be careful on how you engage. In fact, you never really need to initiate on Diana unless someone's just completely out by themselves, because Diana will get blown up and then you're going to leave your team hanging. She's got really low cooldowns and a lot of DPS, so you need to make sure that the enemy team has used a lot of their really big, heavy CCs and AoEs before you go in, and you want to play that whole mop-up game, focusing down the squishies or even playing peel for your own squishies, because you can actually do a lot of damage to almost everyone with the right amount of items especially. You need to itemize late game based on what the enemy has. Do you need a lot of magic resist, or do you need a Zanya's, or do you need a GA? You need to decide that based on what the enemy team has and then pick that up after your core build. Overall though, you're still going to be doing the same thing. Focus down those squishies and win those fights. So overall, final thoughts on Diana are that I think she is going to be a complete noob stomp champion at lower elo. Just my thoughts. For higher level play, I think people are probably just going to build magic resist, get tankier, and play super defensive, at least until late game where they can shut her down. Even then though, I feel that with her strong roaming and her kill potential, she's actually going to be at a very strong position at the moment. I've already noticed she's been banned or picked in almost all of my solo queue games. And she is also one of the most fun champions that has been released in a while. I'm super excited to play her in some ranked games if I can ever get her, if she's ever not banned. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, got something else out of this guide, and if you did, please hit that like button. I'll see you guys around for the next one. This is Colby Cheese. Peace out.
Night turns crimson gold to gray. For silent falls the guilty sun, as day to dark does turn. One simple truth she dare not speak.
subscribe to my channel, or check out some of my other videos. Peace out.